What's going on, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at BoxingWave10. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year. I hope everyone had a great holiday season, whatever it is you celebrate. And hopefully we can go into this new year and have a better year. I mean, it's been a rough year for pretty much everybody. All right. So hopefully we can have a better year, man. And hopefully I can give you better content, more consistent content, and that's just about it. Let's talk Ryan Garcia against Luke Campbell. Okay, it's Friday. The fight is tomorrow. The weigh-in should be starting shortly. Okay. This was a really hard one. The reason why this video is happening so late is because I really had a tough time trying to decide where I was going to go between these two, because there's so many unknowns, and pretty much anyone would tell you that. Specifically Ryan Garcia. I don't know how good this kid is. I really can't tell. But let's go over a few key things about both fighters, just so you can get some sort of understanding of how I view it. Okay, let's address Ryan Garcia first. Okay, undefeated young contender now. All right, because he's no longer a prospect. He's fighting a championship level fighter. All right, this guy Luke Campbell has been in the ring with Lomachenko. He's been in there with Jorge Linares. He lost both of those fights, but he did well in both fights. He didn't get dominated in neither fight. All right. Ryan Garcia has not fought anyone really worth mentioning. Okay. You got Lopez, you got Duno, and you got the Carlos Morales fight that everyone seems to go back to, right? That was the fight from a couple years ago. Really, really, really tough fight for him. Made him look really bad. Ryan was fighting well in that fight. Started out well, was in control. And then out of nowhere, Morales just took over, hurt him, and beat him for like 4 rounds straight. Finished strong. And a lot of people go back to that fight because it was a 10-rounder. It went the distance. At the time, Ryan was pretty much knocking everybody out. And when that fight happened, it kind of exposed him a little bit. Okay. I think a lot of guys that are prospects are always going to have fights like that. I remember that fight, but I also seen improvement in him since then. Dramatically. Okay. Whatever you think of Ryan, don't solely focus on that fight. He's gotten better since that fight. In a lot of ways. Like in full circle. Okay. There's things that I've seen in that fight where, Ryan kind of stands. He's really upright. But he moves a lot better. Okay. And he's better at using that lead hand to control the distance between who he fights. I mean, he's pretty tall for the division. He has a solid reach, and I think he's been better at punch selection. In that fight, he was trying to hook Morales to death. And he really just kept missing his mark for the most part. And he didn't really have any other weapon. And I think that's part of the problem in that fight. But he's sharper. His reflexes are better. He's quicker. He moves better. He's very light on his feet now. Okay, he's not so flat-footed anymore. So I don't want people to go into this Luke Campbell fight thinking that Ryan's the same fighter that he was in that fight. That's first off. But like I said, since that fight, all of his fights has been pretty short. Knocking guys out in between 1 to 4 rounds kind of. So he hasn't really gone the distance. And in that Morales fight, I don't think it was necessarily him getting hurt. I think it was more fatigue coming in. He didn't look strong in those later rounds. He looked slower. He looked a bit gassed. I think he might have been hurt, but I think it was more of him being tired because he fought at the same pace for the remainder of the rounds in that fight. So when he lost the 7th round, he kind of lost the rest of the rounds because he didn't pick it up after that. And we're not used to seeing him fight in long fights anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was more stamina, more so than anything else. All right. So going into this fight, he's fighting Luke Campbell, a southpaw. Ryan hasn't fought a southpaw in I don't know how long. It's been a few years for him. Okay, he hasn't fought a southpaw. So that's another reason why this is like a lot of unknowns here. I'm just trying to bring everything to... He's fighting a southpaw, a really experienced one. And we haven't even seen him. Like the last southpaw he faced, the fight is not even on the internet. Okay? And it wasn't against a good fighter. All right? I looked the guy up. And he got blown out by Kiko Martinez really quickly this year in 2020. I believe even quicker than Ryan knocked him out. So we really don't have much to go on. Now, if you want to go back into his amateur fights and seeing what he did back then against guys like Devin Haney, whatever. But it's not much there. And I wouldn't go that far back. You know, because none of these guys that Ryan has faced professionally has prepared him for Luke Campbell. Ryan, what I see in him, he has a really great left hook. I mean, very deceptive. And I think he's gotten better. That's his signature punch. But I think he's gotten better at throwing it and timing it. You know, he's just not winging it over and over again like he did in the Carlos Morales fight. I think when I see him now, I think he's better at being deceptive as far as the range. Like, sometimes he leans in and he kind of, I think he did it against Fonseca in his last fight. I think when he got the knockout, he was kind of playing the, put his guard up, and then he'll lean back and catch you with it, and it's so quick. You can easily get trapped in that shot. You know what I'm saying? And it's a one punch knockout type of punch. You know what I'm saying? At the very minimum, he's gonna hurt you with that punch. At the bare minimum. If he lands clean. A lot of power, a lot of speed into that punch. He's mastered that left hook of his, okay? And he's learned how to manipulate the way he throws it. Sometimes he can throw it, yes, it's short, it looks short, but at times he can shoot it pretty far out. And if you're not careful, and if you're a little too close, and it might appear that you're out of range from it. And that's what I meant about that left hook being very deceptive. It's one of those shots. Now, even though Luke is a southpaw, and we haven't seen Ryan fight that many southpaws, I can see him countering Luke while Luke is throwing the jab. I can see him throwing that jab and possibly taking Luke's jab away because of that left hook. You counter him enough, Luke is not going to be throwing it. And Luke actually really needs this jab in this fight. Okay? So I can see him taking Luke's jab away with that shot. Okay? I think what Luke needs to do, and let's talk a little bit about Luke. Luke, Olympic gold medalist. Okay? Has been there and there. He's been in there. He lost to Ivan Mendy. Avenged his loss. He lost to Lomachenko. He lost to Jorge Linares. I wouldn't focus solely on the Lomachenko and Mendy losses. You're not going to get much of Ryan Garcia It's not much comparisons there. So I wouldn't even focus on that. If you want to go and look at, we got a day left, I would focus more on a Linares fight, because even though they're both orthodox, that was more of a chess match. I know Linares was able to drop Luke early and hurt him bad in that fight. But that's more of a chess match. That's more kind of how the speed is going to be in this fight. Okay. Mendy is a come forward pressure fighter. He's coming straight forward. He's keeping a tight guard, and he's just looking to counter. He was able to drop Luke with a left hook. But Ryan doesn't exactly throw it that way. It was more like him coming forward and just trying to bully Luke. Luke was being more active, but Mendy was just that guard. He kept it tight and got inside and got it in his space and was consistently doing that, just bullying Luke. And the Lomachenko fight, again, pressure. But Lomachenko's coming in. He's using angles. He's stepping around them. He's throwing a lot of light shots, mixing it with his power shots. Ryan's not going to give you that. Okay? This is going to be more like a chess match, like how the Linares fight was, all right? But Linares is different. Linares punch variation is a lot greater than Ryan, from what we've seen from Ryan. I think overall, Linares is probably a better boxer. It's just that Linares, he could be a little bit chinny, he could be a little bit chinny. So I think that's the reason for like some of the losses that he had. Not against Lomachenko. Lomachenko beat him pretty much off pressure. But I think overall, Linares is a little bit more experienced. And I mean, obviously he's a lot more experienced. And I think he's a more balanced boxer than Ryan Garcia. But on the other hand, Ryan, he has that left hook that you really got to watch out for. And I think that's the difference between the two. Ryan got that one punch where he can knock you out, where Linares has power. He does. But he doesn't have a signature punch. He's more balanced. He's more well-rounded. Luke Campbell, great at fighting a rangy fight, moves extremely well, pretty good counterer, tall, long. I mean, range and length and height is not really going to be a factor, because they're both pretty much the same height and they have the same length, so it's going to be more about who's better at controlling the distance. Like I said, Ryan has improved in using that lead hand and controlling the range. I think Luke is still a little better at doing it. Okay. I think Luke still moves a lot better. I think Luke fights better behind his jab. He works better behind his jab as well. He's going to set up his shots with his jab a lot better than Ryan. I think what Luke is going to be doing a lot of is shooting that jab to the body. Okay, I think he's going to be doing that. I think Ryan, being that he's going to fight a southpaw, yes, he's going to be trying to counter Luke's jab with that hook, but he's also going to have to start making more of a use of his straight right hand, because he's fighting a southpaw, obviously. The thing is with Luke, and the problem I have with Luke, is he seems to really have one gear. He doesn't really turn it up a notch. I'm not saying he doesn't have power. He has some power. Yes, he's knocked out a lot of guys that weren't the elite fighters he's faced. But the problem with Luke is he's not really dangerous. And I don't know if you guys seen my previous videos on this fight, but when I first heard this fight, immediately I thought Luke Campbell. Immediately. That was my first thought. First thought, Luke Campbell got this fight. Ryan hasn't shown me anything that makes me think that he could, go in there and outbox a guy like Luke Campbell with the experience he has, even with his losses. I'm just talking experience. But the problem with Luke is what I don't trust about him is that he's not really dangerous and he doesn't turn it up another gear. Like he fights the same gear. Now, it's good because he's capable of fighting long fights and he's shown his toughness. He's been dropped. He was dropped against Lomachenko, Linares, Mendy, but he showed a lot of toughness. He wasn't really like down and out. He's never been knocked out or anything like that. Yes, he was hurt by Loma. Loma really, really went to his body. I don't expect Ryan to really go to his body like that. But I think Luke is a really tough fighter and he has great stamina. He's going to fight this way for the majority of the fight. You know, however way it goes, he's going to be fighting the same way at the same pace throughout the whole fight. I don't know if Ryan can do that because I haven't seen him fight late in fights. I just haven't seen it except against Carlos Morales, you know, and we saw how that fight went. So I don't know. I would actually think that Luke would be trying to get him into the later rounds and then really push the pace there. You know, early on, he's a safe fighter anyway, you know, and I think him and Ryan, this is going to be a technical match here. This is going to be a chess match all the way through. I think Luke, and you know, I seen him make comments about trying to knock, you know, Ryan out and everything. Okay, I mean, that's cool. But the thing is with Luke and what I don't trust is every time he stepped up, the best fighters he fought, he lost to. You know, the best fighters he fought, he lost to. Now, I know that those guys are a lot more experienced than Ryan has. But the thing is, I don't know what Ryan has. He's knocked out these journeymen pretty much before this fight. He might be better than what we've seen because he's stepping up to fight someone better. And we might be seeing the very best of him. You know, I do pay attention to what people say. You know, I do pay attention to what guys are saying going into this fight. I mean, the professionals, the boxers, the trainers. I listen to them because I want to see how they view it, especially when it's a tough fight like this where it's kind of hard to really go with. And a lot of them do have Ryan winning this fight. And I think it's because not only because I think some of it maybe because maybe they're seeing things that I don't really see, you know, in him. Maybe they're picking him because of the hype, you know. But I can tell you this. I can actually see Luke outboxing him throughout the entire fight. I can see that happening. If that were to happen, I would not be surprised at all. But I could also see Ryan catching him with a shot and hurting him and possibly stopping him. Because Ryan, he has power, he has speed, and he's very explosive. He's very explosive. Luke is not explosive. You know, Luke will outbox you, but he is a safety first fighter. Especially when he steps up. When he steps up, he's trying to outscore you, really. But he's keeping it safe. I don't know if he has the power to keep Ryan back off of him. But I don't expect Ryan to fight the same fight Lomachenko and Mendy did neither. You know, he's not going to just be coming forward and just trying to bully Luke. He doesn't really fight that way neither. So I think this is going to be, you can really go either way with this. I'm thinking Ryan more on a KO, and I'm thinking Luke more on scoring and beating him on points. All right? I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. This is not something that I would bet on. But I think I'm going to change my pick, and I think I'm going to go with Ryan in this one. I'm just going to go, and I'm going on it because I don't trust Luke to close the show. You know? I think he has the tools and the skills to do it. But every time he stepped up, he just couldn't get it done. You know? So I'm expecting Ryan to rise to the occasion and improve, because I really don't know. I think he's going to show us in this fight that he belongs in that whole conversation of Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, you know, Shakur, that class of fighters that he came out with. I think he's going to show. I think he's proven up to this point. I think he's the least proven. But I think after this fight, we're going to see him. We're going to see more of what he's made of. And I think he's going to win this fight. All right. But it's a 50-50 fight to me. A lot of unknowns. But I think Ryan's going to win this one. And I actually think that I actually wouldn't be surprised if he won on points too. All right. But yeah, I'm going to go with Ryan. I think Ryan's going to catch him with a left hook, hurt Luke, and possibly stop him. That's what I'm thinking. I think Ryan by stoppage. That is my pick. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do commentary on this fight tomorrow. I won't be home. But I will do a review the following morning like I normally would do. All right. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.